All right, thanks for joining us here at Pixel Opinions. We're going to be doing another movie review, and it's finally going to be on Deadpool now that everybody has seen the movie.
Alex.
So it just came out, right?
Yeah, it just came out. No, it's going to be coming out on Blu-ray and DVD on May 10th.
The date on that YouTube upload, that's a typo.
It's a typo. Yeah, typo forever.
Movie came out tonight in the theaters.
That's right.
We actually haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah, so we've all seen the movie now, and obviously we got to talk about it because I felt it was really, really good.
It's a big movie and we want hits.
Yeah. That's right. He's not wrong.
It's a movie that has changed superhero movies forever.
I will say this to anybody who's watching. There is a chance that there will be spoilers in this. We can't guarantee that there will or won't be, so if you haven't seen the movie, check out the movie and then come back to us. And then we can join in on the conversation.
If you've been living under a rock and don't know about spoilers by now, that's honestly on you, not on us. Sorry, guys.
Come on, man. Be nice to the audience.
I was very polite.
Yeah, they pay for your food, man.
No, they do not.
Anyways, I don't want to talk with you guys about this. I want to talk with you guys about Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
Josh.
I thought it was a great movie. I mean, it had everything that I needed. It had action, had comedy, had boobs, had, lots of stuff. I can't say much more about it. It was great.
Review done!
Yep, that's it. It's all over, guys. So that's all you need to know, really.
I mean,
it was a guy in a red suit.
Okay,
and
so
boobs.
Let's go to
Does Deadpool have boobs?
Of course.
Oh, good.
Let's go to the start of this, and what we knew right away is that Ryan Reynolds was taking his next foray into a superhero or a hero movie.
I mean, second time playing Deadpool.
Yeah.
If you can call Deadpool, like, I'm sorry, X-Men Origins, Deadpool was not Deadpool. I mean, the first scene...
It was Ryan Reynolds.
Well, when he played Wade, it was
the first scene when he was Wade was fine.
Yeah.
Whatever they did after that was not.
You don't silence him.
No. And give him a whole bunch of powers that he doesn't actually have. And then he took on the mantle of Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Which,
and if you haven't seen it, bravo. I'm so happy for you.
Keep it that way. It's not his fault. I think that he did a good job in Green Lantern bringing that humor. Again, it was just that the movie itself was kind of beyond redeeming. So here he took up the mantle of Deadpool, and I think he did a fantastic job.
Phenomenal. I would say it's among his best work to date. Especially for comedy. It's one of his funniest movies. Like, sure, you can argue Van Wilder's probably one of his funniest movies.
Well, it's a different kind of humor altogether.
Exactly, right? So this one, though, everything that was talked about this movie and what Ryan Reynolds was going to bring to it, they did. And he was the perfect choice. I couldn't picture anybody else doing Deadpool now.
No, I honestly, you could give me headshots for like all the actors. Show me. I don't think that you could find a better cast for that. I really don't. I think he was spot on. I know when they originally announced him as Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine, I thought, well, that's a good choice. Yeah. And then we saw what they did with it. Now in this one, the movie didn't kill him as Deadpool, so you had that going for it.
Yeah.
He nailed the role. I'll say that much. He nailed the role. And one thing I really liked about him in this one that I often hate in other superhero movies, he's good outside of the mask.
Yeah.
In other superhero movies, it's like, it's fantastic when he puts on his spider suit or whatever. But as soon as they take it out, they're just these boring, lame people. When he's out of the suit, he's still funny.
He was the same guy in and out of the suit.
Yeah,
it didn't matter.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think that the only other superhero that was as good as him in and out of the suit would have been Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
Tony Stark.
That's true. That's true.
And it used to be, prior to this, that I would put, when it was you want an example of how to cast, you want an example of how to fit a character with a superhero, it was Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Now, I'm not saying Ryan Reynolds was better, because again, two different kinds of characters.
Yeah.
But now you have two examples of this is how you cast. This is how you make a superhero right.
Yeah.
But beyond Ryan Reynolds, what else did you like about the movie, Alex? You just saw it most recently a couple days ago.
I love the action. I love the humor. I mean, I think it started off extremely well. It ends off extremely well. It can get slow and choppy at times in the middle. But even though it gets a little slow at times, it's never really truly slow enough to lose your interest.
And it's the way that they did the timeline aspect of the movie, too. You have that lull in the middle instead of the beginning. Because the movie grabs you right away.
Yes.
With the phenomenal action scene, yes, it's part of the previews that you've seen with the movies, but seeing it in its entirety, I felt great about it.
You're 100% right, though, because they get your adrenaline going right away.
Yeah.
So that, like Alex said, when you do hit the inevitable plot devices, the parts that are a little bit slower, but they have to be to move things forward, you don't care because you're just like, wow, that was awesome. When's the you're now in anticipation.
That whole intro sequence was just on the dot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was. It wasn't the perfect movie in my opinion. There was some parts in the middle that, just from a plot standpoint, not anything else, could have been fine-tuned, refined a little bit. If you're a Marvel lore purist, you'll know what I mean.
Okay.
When, with, again, spoilers, Francis, having a factory where he creates mutants, essentially, should have had more fail-safes in place. Look at Wolverine and the whole Weapon X thing. That's not enough to deter the movie by any means.
Yeah.
But it's just little things that, could have been just tweaked, fine-tuned just a little bit.
Yep.
But again, doesn't spoil the experience at all.
Minor gripe.
Gripe.
Yeah, and it is kind of nice that things like that, like the origin part, is in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Almost every superhero movie, you start with this boring human, non-superhero guy just going throughout his daily life, and it's not interesting. It's never interesting.
Not to mention that, yes,
nobody cares.
The intro is never...
Yes, Spider-Man's uncle dies. We've seen it twice now. We're going to see it again in the new Spider-Man origin. Great. We know it already. You don't need to keep showing it to us.
No, and you know what? That was a good way to break it up and put it in. And again, to kind of mask the slower points, which, not bad points, but they're slower points, and they were masked well by putting it in there.
And even the slower points in the movie still had some of the most quotable aspects of the movie as far as comedy goes.
And that's where his subtle humor came in. And that was the best part, like Alex said, when he was out of the mask.
And that's where Ryan Reynolds is a champ. Absolutely.
I thought it was in his looks.
That's his...
Dude, he's dreamy, man.
He is.
Maybe not in this movie.
For Ryan Reynolds...
well, not after. Not after.
As far as man crushes go, Ryan Reynolds ranks up there as my number one. But it's because of comedy first and looks second.
Who wants to give a shout out to the supporting cast here?
No. I wasn't overly impressed.
None of the supporting cast?
You know what? Some of them were good. But for the most part, the supporting cast was kind of just there.
I thought the love interest was fantastic. She was, believable. She was enjoyable. She didn't care about the whole superhero thing.
They had a great relationship.
Yep.
Their back and forth rapport was spot on. Like, it was like the perfect match for that.
Oh, for sure.
But I have to hand it to TJ Miller.
Oh, yeah.
As Weasel, he did an amazing job. Like, it's tough in this role because in most movies, you have a comic relief. And that's necessary because it's more serious. In this movie, the whole movie's comedy, and you gotta have a comic relief,
You get
right?
pounded with more comedy.
Yeah. So, you know what? He did a fantastic job in his role, not necessarily being the comic relief, but helping be a comic catalyst, so to speak. But I will say this. I think they fell short in the villain department.
I agree.
And that's one thing, as much as DC has been kind of doing a bad job with their movies as of late. In general, in comic books and TV shows, they have such good villains.
Yeah.
And in this one, Francis Ajax, it didn't really do it for me.
He's not a believable villain.
Well, he's not an entertaining one. Not entertaining. He's just a strong guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, there's other superhero movies where they're fighting, like, end of the world type catastrophes, huge special effects. This dude is a strong guy.
I think that's part of what they were going for, though, because when you really think about it, okay, all these superhero movies are like end of the world thing. He just got his girl taken. That's all it was. He just wanted to get his girl back. I kind of appreciate that part about it.
At no point in the movie, though, do you think, Deadpool might have to struggle here. No, you think, Deadpool is going to rock this guy.
And I agree with Alex, because that was one reason that I didn't like Thor 2.
Yeah.
Is because when you go into a superhero movie, you usually expect the superhero to win, but you expect them to build up odds that are kind of really stacked against them. And then this, like Thor 2, I didn't see the Dark Elf as a threat at any point. I was just like, okay, can we just beat him up? And like, I was just like, okay, Francis is a speed bump at most.
So that torture chamber that mutinized him is not good enough for you?
Well, it goes back to the whole thing. There was no fail-safes in place. I mean, one guy with a match took down the entire facility that was supposed... I mean, if you're some sort of genius...
It goes to how special he is.
So, you know what? Yeah, he can torture a guy who's already been bound, but that shouldn't be your main strength as a supervillain.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with you on that by any means. But I think what they did, and just kind of going with what Josh said, is they wrote his ego into the movie. This guy does not feel pain. So I feel like they wrote his ego into the movie, and it was presented that way. You took it as... he's not a good villain, and yeah, you know, you're not wrong for thinking that. I'm just putting it in my head that they wrote the ego in there.
I think beyond the main two characters, being Deadpool and his love interest, everyone else was extremely shallow. And you know what? That works in a way for some characters, but at the same time, it makes you think, yeah, sure, it's a movie about Deadpool.
Well, he's a spotlight character, right? Like, this guy is a spotlight character. So he wants the spotlight on him the whole time. I mean, if you have a villain that's almost too good,
it could overshadow.
It would take away from...
Joker, Dark Knight. Absolutely overshadow Batman.
But that was the thing. I was watching that movie thinking, how is Batman actually going to stop this guy? Like, I was on the edge of my seat thinking... what is he going to do?
Yeah, and this movie doesn't have that.
No, and again, I'm not saying it takes away from the movie. It's just a small blemish that you could have made that guy just a little bit better. Make it a little bit more of an overcoming. I'm not saying that it made the movie bad. I'm just saying that it was one of those spots that could have been fine-tuned.
If you have to nitpick at something, that's the one to do.
And another thing that I will nitpick, since I'm on the topic of nitpicking... Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. They felt like such shoehorned cameos. Like, yes, I get Colossus was probably there to show that dichotomy between hero and not hero that Deadpool was going for with Mercenary.
Yeah.
But like, you know, aside from some very comedic parts, you know, their interactions didn't do it for me.
They don't really count as a character at that point. They're basically a plot point. They're sort of there for a couple jokes.
I think of them I think of them as fodder for comedy. Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
He was basically playing the straight man, right?
And I think that's a big part of outside of Deadpool himself. I think that is how I viewed most of the characters in the movie.
It's nice to have that good angel there and then against his own demon. Right.
Well, it also could be hinting at future crossovers but you know, they could have not to say that they shouldn't have done that, because again, you know, Colossus was very much there and you know, for the X-Men as a whole, he is one of the more really, you know, goody you know,
for sure,
kind of guys. It makes sense from that standpoint. But I'm just saying they could have had other cameos of X-Men characters that might have just been a little bit more on the entertainment side. But you know, again, it's a small gripe, and even though I wanted a bit of a finer tuned plot, Colossus makes more sense from a plot standpoint.
Yeah,
it just made it made it stick out a little bit more. Like it wasn't as necessary.
And you haven't built up anyone, so this means when you get to Deadpool 2, you have Deadpool, and that's it. You literally could get rid of the entire rest of the cast except for the love interest. You could get rid of the entire
I still don't see how you didn't enjoy T.J. Miller.
Yeah. He was...
Yeah, had some good lines.
Like good lines.
Deadpool
their back and forth was incredible. Yeah. It was as good as Deadpool and Marina Baccarin going back and forth. As Vanessa. And then you had T.J. Miller and Ryan Reynolds going together as well. Even the old lady that Ryan Reynolds lived with, a small bit part.
Wasn't it Al?
Some along those lines. Unfortunately, can't remember. Names are apparently a problem. But even her small role in it added a lot more depth to the comedy. And I think that's where this movie is its shining spot. Is its comedy first, not to be outdone almost by its violence, because it's got a lot. and just the crude nature of the dialogue.
You just mentioned it, and I want you to bring it up. I want you to mention it. The R rating.
Yes.
Because this was the first big superhero movie.
Successful
with an R. Which other one?
Spawn.
Dread.
Thank you. But you know, this is a big point of contention. It was R-rated.
Yeah.
Very much for good cause.
Oh, yeah.
It made a lot of money. Absolutely ton of money.
Yeah.
And now it's actually even Wolverine 3 is going to be potentially dabbling into an R-rated movie because of the door that it opened.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? Is that a new wave? Has it, because you could almost see Deadpool as being a catalyst for ushering in this new movement of R-rated superhero movies.
This is going to be the moment that opens up the superhero rated R movie, and to make it successful and to know that there is an audience for it, especially today.
I think there was even some talks of, not talks, but Tommy from Power Rangers, Jason David Frank, saying that he would love to do an R-rated solo Green Ranger movie.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And like, for one, I'm like, R-rated Wolverine movie, because I'm disappointed by the 2 Wolverine solo movies, but a third Wolverine movie, if they allow it to be R-rated and take hints from this, an R-rated Green Ranger movie, like, you're now starting to hit on stuff that I would actually really like to see, all because of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only caveat I'm going to put in there for that, I really appreciate what this movie's done for R-rated superhero movies, and I hope that they continue to make good R-rated super movies. I hope they don't make every superhero movie R-rated now.
That's what's going to happen. You know that's what's going to happen.
It's all about oversaturating the market.
Yeah. People are going to see it, and they're going to be, oh, we have to get on that. And then in 5 years from now, it's going to be like, zombies.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But it does show that there's a place for it.
Yeah.
But Derek, R-rated, children.
I
know you were super. I
was so mad.
You were the first one to see it in the theater, and I remember going to your Facebook feed and just seeing comments about how many children were in the theater.
I went on opening night, Friday, not the Thursday pre-show. And I have a 10-year-old kid who's asked me if he can see Deadpool, and I laughed at him for maybe 20 minutes.
I don't know if that's necessarily the right reaction.
Curtis will understand. It's fine. He's a big fan of the podcast and everything.
It's a good thing that this podcast is not parenting tips by Derek. But at least you were still one of the ones who said no.
Absolutely not. And the amount of kids that I saw on opening day, despite all the warnings on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Ryan Reynolds tried his best to promote this as, do not bring your freaking kids to this movie.
Yeah.
And what do? They bring their kids. Some of them look very embarrassed and ashamed that they brought their kids. Some didn't even care at all. The rated R rating is there, and it's appropriately placed there.
Well, Josh and I, we went to see the movie together, and there was definitely the people who were like, there's maybe a couple and their younger child.
Yeah.
And, the father probably convinced them to go. And you just see, the mother look over, hey, there's nudity on the screen. Or there's, Ryan Reynolds getting shot in the butt. And she just looks over oh, you're in trouble.
Oh, he's going to be paying for that one later.
So what everyone is dying to know, because obviously our thoughts on the R rating and children being there, it doesn't affect the movie at all.
Oh God, no! It enhanced the movie for adults.
But that being said, what is your verdict on Deadpool as a movie? Not as an R-rated movie for children in the theater, but Deadpool the movie. What is your verdict?
All right, so I came in knowing I was going to give it a 10 out of 10. For me, it was a perfect movie. And after
when you say came in, do you mean came into the podcast or into the theater?
Into the theater.
No. The opening credits were rolling, and you're like, "This better be the 10 out of 10 that I went in for."
You watched the commercial, and it was like, no. 10 out of 10.
Prior to this recording, I had it in my head that I was going to be coming in with a 10 out of 10. After listening to you guys, I am going to bring it down to a 9 out of 10 because you did have really good points about the. Not so much plot holes, just the lack of creativity that was there when you do talk about a villain. So you guys convinced me that it's not a perfect movie. So I am going to go to 9 out of 10 because it still is as advertised. Absolutely hilarious, uber violent, and they broke the fourth wall like I've never seen.
Well, I mean, if you know Deadpool from anything else,
all the time,
he breaks the fourth wall.
Yes, but it was excessive and great.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Josh?
I'm also going to go with a 9 out of 10. I think that it is probably the best version of Deadpool we are ever going to get. And aside from minor blemishes, it was a great movie.
It's a great movie. It's hilarious. Great action in it. I feel like they nailed Deadpool as a character more than you really see the characters being done well. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 10, which is a high recommendation from me.
Yeah, true enough.
You know what? My recommendation earlier was actually lower. And I'm going to bring it up to a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Because as much as I've always been a diehard Marvel lore fan, and it bothers me when the movies change little things that I don't like, I need to just focus on it for the entertainment factor.
Yep.
And you know what? The movie was entertaining. There was the humor, the blood, the nudity. Like, it was a fantastic movie. Yes, there was parts that could have been fine-tuned, which kept it at a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
But that just leaves me hopeful for improvements they could make for Deadpool 2,
yeah,
which we know will come. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, and it's simply because the entertainment value overshadowed the blemishes enough to not make it a perfect movie, but to give it that extra score.
If you're an appropriate age, this is a movie for you to see, absolutely. I just want to
like funny.
Yeah, obviously. I just want to bring up a point that when we were talking about what this is going to mean for future movies, I really do hope that they fix Spawn. They try Spawn again, knowing that the audience is there. Because Spawn deserves a rated R movie.
You know what?
A good one.
R Spawn?
Yes,
you
absolutely.
know what, though? With Spawn, and we've seen this in the past with cartoons on television and other movies that have tried it. Once someone has pushed that envelope a little bit better, there's room to improve. So, Spawn, third Wolverine movie, Green Ranger solo movie, I don't care.
Yeah.
They now have an example to go by.
Do you guys have a particular movie?
Yeah, why don't we do what R-rated hero movie we want to see?
Hero movie? Yep.
What about Punisher for you? Like,
Yeah,
I know we're going to be
Punisher
getting
would be-
the show, and that's going to be fairly explicit.
Yeah,
so.
they've been doing a great job with the show. So, sure, yeah, Punisher movie that's actually good and not garbage like the previous two. Let's do it.
I mean, I'm looking forward. I assume it's R-rated. Suicide Squad? I don't know that one. You would think it
You know
would
what?
be.
They're flirting with it.
You would think it would be.
Isn't that movie essentially done, though? Like, at this point?
Yeah, it's coming out in theaters.
They
pretty
actually
soon.
had to go back to refilm some stuff that they were unhappy with. They said they needed to put more comedy in it. So there's, some anticipation or lack of anticipation.
I'm anticipating
there.
that one. Basically, I want to see some stuff with villains, and Suicide Squad gives me exactly what
That's
I
the
want
perfect
to see.
avenue to open it up.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Honestly, everybody knows this, at least at this table. My favorite character has always been Gambit.
Gambit. Yes, I was hoping you were going to say it.
They are, they are making the Gambit movie. I'm totally cool with it. I'm excited to see what Channing Tatum is going to do with the character. Honestly, I don't care if it's R-rated, if they make it good. If the R rating just makes it a little bit better, I'm all for that. But just give me a good Gambit movie.
All right, awesome. So that's what we thought about Deadpool. Let us know in the comments what you thought of it, if you have seen it already. And
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, we will do that.
Hey, did you like that video? If you did, be sure to let us know by clicking the like button and leaving a comment. If you want to be first in line for any new content, be sure to subscribe to our channel and then hit up our Facebook page. The link's in the description below to see what's coming up next.